Hi, everyone. It is Marilyn Loria, and welcome to Who Can It Be Now? Have an interesting topic I want to talk to you about. It's about believing yourself, seeing yourself, and then you're going to go into a really incredible tool that I have from Next Level Living. It's a tip that I taught them, and it's from the lesson Deep Listening with Your Heart and Soul. So I want to talk a bit, and then you'll go in and you'll hear that tip, how to deep listen with your heart and soul and use it towards your business. For those of you who are just learning about me, I'm a psychic medium teacher and coach. Really, I'm a spiritual teacher. I have incarnated and shifted and changed. And over the 18 years that I've been in business, I teach people around the world how to really own their own instrument and how to use the gifts that they have and how to grow and expand them and apply them to their life, whether it's business or the way that they live. I have a different way of working than most people. I'm pretty practical, grounded. I'm not woo woo at all. And I'm very much about visibility in terms of showing you transparency, showing you who I am, my own struggles, how I get through things. And I teach people from that place. I don't teach you from me like crumbling down crying, but I am very honest and share what I go through as a spiritual teacher so that you can understand it. I think a lot of my students relate to it and they don't feel like, oh my goodness, because I haven't reached nirvana or bliss, there's something wrong with me. They recognize that, oh no, this is life, this is the way it is, and these are the techniques and tools that you can use towards managing and navigating your life. So today we're going to be talking about truth. I'm maybe talking a little bit about next level living, and then you're going to go into this incredible tip and also believing in yourself. I have clear audience, clear hearing, so I thought I heard bells and I thought my dog was ringing the bell because I have a bell on the door. It's just a sidebar. So I had to pause the recording and go downstairs, and she's nowhere near the bells. And I'm like, okay, someone's ringing the bells. Spirit? Yeah. Um, so I want to tell you a little bit of a story first and how important it is to deeply listen to your heart and soul, especially in business, if you're running a business or starting a business or want to do a business. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I work because I'm starting to step out in a bigger way. I'm starting to let people know who I am. And the reason why I'm doing that, there's many reasons why I'm doing that. One of the reasons is that for those of you who've been following me, you know, but those who haven't, I lost my mother back in November of 2023. And 4 months later, I cut off my family. And through the disengagement of my family, I started believing in myself in a way that I've never believed in myself because I never recognized how much being attached to them, and I'm not making them wrong or pointing fingers or saying they're bad people because that's not really a healthy way of being. And I really don't feel that way. I just feel they weren't healthy for me. So by disengaging from them, I started recognizing this belief in myself that was coming up because I was no longer being put down or ignored or whatever the story is that many of us have with family, friends, relationships, whatever the story is. And I don't have it in any other aspect in my life, just really in my family, because I don't accept friendships that behave that way. So I started seeing this inside myself and I started coming out in a bigger way. And the other reason why I'm coming out in a bigger way is because, well, one, I'm much more comfortable with what I do and how I do it. And two, I'm seeing the transformations in my students, how much it is really shifting and changing their lives. I just had another student that published a book, you know, and these are people that have been sitting on these beautiful stories and these books and these speakings and these healings. And another student of mine who I just I encourage every single one of them because I believe in them so much. And she's going out with animal healing now. And it's just so beautiful to see people with these incredible gifts finally bring them out into the world. And I'm trusting, and I know this because they're watching me, that by me going out more and more and more, they're giving themselves permission to go out more and more and more. And it is uncomfortable sometimes, right? Like for me right now, it's more comfortable than uncomfortable because it's something that I feel like I have to do no matter what. It's just part of me. But when you first start doing it and you get like comments or somebody's listening to something like a high school friend sees a reel, you know, I don't care about that stuff, but I know another student of mine who put out a reel and then some high school friend commented on it and it affected her. And I totally understood it. I was like, I know that moment. I had that where I've gone to parties and somebody was like, "Oh, I heard your podcast," and da, da, da. And I'm like, "Oh, could we not talk about that here?" It's so weird. Like when I'm out in like the tennis courts or at dinner parties, I don't really want to talk about what I do. I kind of am one of those people that is a little bit of a chameleon, and I shift out of it because one, it's this is where we're going to get into truth. It's very hard to be friends with me if you really like people like tell me what you see. They would really leave the party because they wouldn't be able to handle the truth that I would reflect to them, because people who've had readings with me understand the intensity and the depth of what I'm bringing to the table, and they feel something in themselves that is truly life changing, right? So, and I'm not saying that like, look at me, look at me. I think a lot of people can do this, right? But I know the depths of my gifts. I know how good that I am at this stuff. And so I prefer to go out into social things if I do social things, and I just like to tuck that part of me away, tuck it aside, and just try to be a normal person. That's me. Not everybody has to be like me, right? So part of what I wanted to share with you is like this truth part of us, right? I'm really a truth seeker and a truth teller. And I feel like people that are in my world, that's what ends up happening to them. They end up finding their truth, and they trust themselves, and they believe in themselves, and they get to a layer of themselves that they didn't have before, and they start owning it in a way that they've never really. It's very powerful, but it's not an ego power. It's not like, look at me, look at me. Matter of fact, somebody with one of my assistant was talking to somebody in my program just to find out more like why they joined and stuff. And the person was like, well, what I like about Marilyn is that she doesn't act as if she's better than anyone. She's very honest about her transparency and what she does, and she also believes we're all very gifted. It's like a peer-to-peer thing. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So I share all of this with you and whoever listens, to so that you acknowledge in yourself the gifts that you have inside of yourself, and you start living them and start being them. And truth is one of the biggest things, and seeing yourself is super important. The other thing that I want to talk about is like, so I just put out a reel. I'm recording this on June 10th. I didn't realize it was June 10th, 2024 at 3:50 p.m. And I just put out a reel about like, I was triggered again. Like, and I'm like, how many times as spiritual people, we want to grow a business or we want to grow something in our life. And it's hard to find people that really understand what it is we do and reflect, really great stuff back to us. I feel like I'm a really great coach and a really great teacher and a mentor. And I know this because Next Level Living is heading into its third year. And the majority of people that joined in the first year, they just extended for the third year. People keep extending in the program because they get so much out of it. But what I also feel like I do is I hold a very really wonderful space of them being able to have these intimate experiences with each other, these relationships with each other and with themselves. They get to trust each other. They get to share, they get to support each other, celebrate each other. I don't allow competition, like one's better than another. It's like, no, we highlight everybody's gifts and everybody's unique qualities because everybody is unique. So she was asking this person that one of the reasons why they joined, and that was one of the reasons. And the other reason was is that I'm very transparent about my own life struggles so that people don't feel awkward or weird. They're like, oh, just because I've had this incredible meditation or I'm in touch with my guides doesn't mean all of a sudden that everything is bliss and okay. So spiritual entrepreneurs, we will sometimes have a hard time with finding people who really understand what it is that we do. So I did this reel where I was like, you know what? I'm pissed off. Like, I'm tired of hiring people because that don't understand what I do. I don't do this a lot, but I have done it. I've done it with coaches. I've done it with masterminds where I hire someone because they have a reputation of being incredible and amazing. And I'm like, oh, I need that. I need that. I need that. And then I go into these groups and I'm like, they don't see me. They don't believe in what I do. So then it's like my family dynamic. Then I'm like waving my hands in the air, like, see me, see me, see me. Can't you see me? This is what I do. This is what's going on. And I'm so friggin' done with that story. I'm so done with it. And I really want to get this message out there because I want people to find spaces where you get seen and heard. And it's hard when you're studying business, right? So I teach some business components in Next Level Living, and I'm bringing more business components in because I really enjoy the business aspect. I enjoy marketing. I enjoy learning sale processes. I've done tons of funnels. I've done all sorts of sales things. And I was the one who went into the straight-laced rooms and was the only psychic in the room and just allowed that to be just so I could learn from the people that really knew what they were doing. And now I'm bringing it into my communities. And you want to get into a space where the person knows what they're talking about, because I see too many spiritual people saying they're teaching business. And I'm like, you don't know your ass from your elbow, excuse my language, but I can tell you don't know anything. And then, so if you go into one of those rooms, those real spiritual people, like, I'm going to teach you all about marketing and stuff, and they don't know what the frig they're doing. I've seen spiritual people with incredible followings still not know what the heck they're doing. I'm like, oh my goodness, if I had your following, do you know how much money would be in my bank account? Like, they'd have no clue. And then if you go into these straight-laced business people, they don't know what you're doing, and they don't really believe it, or they have their own preconceived notions about it. So you're either sitting there with your ass up your elbow up your ass, whatever that saying is. I really want to not curse anymore on this podcast. Or you're in a straight-laced room where everybody is kind of like looking at you and whispering behind your back. Trust me, I've had this experience, so I know what it's like. I just didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I'm studying with you. I'm going to learn from you. But I'm done with it. Like, I'm done. First of all, I don't need that kind of training anymore. Thank goodness. And I have enough training, and I can continue to study the way I need to study. Number two, I'm not going to go into any more rooms. I'm not going to hire anybody where I have to prove to you about what I do. I know what I do. Now, some of you may be beginners and you're like, well, I don't know yet because I'm just getting out there. That's okay. Find people like me, and I can say that confidently, that are going to care about you, are going to see you, are going to teach you what you need to know, or point you in the direction to the right people to study with. Stop going into these spaces where you're like, well, this coach is really great, and they have this, and I hope, do they see me? I went into, I was in one mastermind for a while. I really like the head coach, so I don't want to talk too poorly about it, but it was like the people were there for a while with each other. Oh my goodness. Like, I would get into these little breakout rooms and they did not respect me. And I have really good friggin' marketing advice. I'm in a peer-to-peer right now with two guys that are very straight-laced. They're great guys. And they listen when I give advice because I have great friggin' marketing advice. I've done it. So it's, and as a psychic, I can read the room. I can read what people are thinking. I know what's going on. And it's not a psychological imbalance bullshit, because I have this gift. And a lot of you I know have this gift. And you don't want to be in those spaces. You want to be in a community where you are seen and heard and celebrated. And I'm not talking blowing smoke up your butt, because anybody who knows me knows I don't do that, right? And usually the people I attract don't do it either, but they care. They have compassion. I just did an interview last week, and they were new to me, the women that were interviewing me, and the people, I guess some of the people on the YouTube thing, it was a YouTube thing, knew of me. And I was like, because I'm not going to pussyfoot anymore. I'm not going to, if you ask me a question and I think you're wrapped up in story and you're you're victimizing yourself, I'm going to call you out on that. I'm not your person. So, and one of the women must know me because she follows me, and she's like, this is what we love about you. You're very direct. And I always tell people, yeah, you're going to have a boot print on your ass, but there's going to be a big heart on it. And that is truly how I feel. Like, I deeply care about everybody that comes into my program. Now, that's if you're active. If you're not active in my program and I'm tapping you on your shoulder, you're still not active, there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. But the majority of people are active in my program, and they know that I deeply care about their journeys. I deeply care about their success. I deeply care that they see the gifts inside of themselves and they get them out into the world. There is no competition. I'm talking to another friend of mine. I'm going to do a whole podcast on this because she's jumping out into spirit groups and spirit circles and tapping into her mediumship. And she was talking to me about how she did a platform reading and it went really, really well. And then this medium guy that's also in the group was coming to her and saying, you shouldn't show people what you do. And and I was like, oh, F man. I was ready to jump through the phone, and we were talking on Voxer, and go to where she was and choke the guy. It was making me so angry, because there's people out there that will try to shut you down. There's this scarcity consciousness. I'm there's enough dead people to go around for all of us. We can be talking to a ton of dead people and we're not going to run out of them. So that's a whole nother thing. But you want to make sure you're in a community so in my communities, we're celebrating each other. we're acknowledging each other's gifts. The people in Next Level Living, they do bonuses. So they come on and they'll show their skill set to the rest of the group. And then they hire each other. And that's what I want. What's a better place to pick a person, a healer, a channeler, a therapist, whatever it is that you're doing? What better place than to pick someone than in that kind of community that you already know the people and you know they're open to this stuff. So stop going out into circles where people don't see you, don't hear you, don't feel you. So in Next Level Living, and I'll do more about this, but in Next Level Living, I teach people how to trust themselves. You trust yourself beyond anything else in the world. So when the shit hits the fan, which it does in life, you get to trust your decisions, your choices, and who you are. Trust and believe in yourself is interchangeable to me. It's whatever's more important to you. We say trust because a lot of people come in believing in something, believing in themselves, believing in something, and then they engage more trusting of what they're doing and how to do it and how to get it out there in the world. So I teach a lesson every month, some type of channeled lesson that comes through me. It could be constellation of your soul. It could be activating your own codes. It could be how to play with time. This month we're doing fear and how to be with fear, because I see like, I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid, no, not on my watch, not on my watch. So then they get a meditation. I'm known for my guided meditations. There's a few on this podcast. I would go check them out. People really, really love them. So they get a meditation around the material, which is a journey. It's really a visual journey. And then they get a business tip around the material, right? So last month this is the one you're going to hear, is the business tip for deep listening with your heart and soul. You'll hear how I take the material and marry it with business. And then they get hot seat coaching. So 4 of them get to go into the hot seat coaching, and everybody comes to the calls and I coach them. I coach the 4 people that are in the seat, and everybody's there on the call listening, because I give so many techniques and tools to everyone that all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize I had that question. I learned this, that, this, and that. So they learn so much from me coaching someone else. And then the last tip is like a wrap up tip where I just kind of wrap it up for the month. And if they have any questions about the material, I answer it. Then we do these bonuses. We're adding a lot more business bonuses into the program, because I want you to have the business component. You need to have the business component. But the biggest thing, if you want to read the testimonials, you can go to MarilynAloria.com/testimonials. You can actually watch them. By far, the biggest thing that everyone says is the community. It's the community. And I can tell you that if you can find a community of people that can really hold space for you, I don't care what's going on in your life, you need that community. You really need it. And here's the thing. Because sometimes people will be thinking about coming into Next Level Living and they're like, oh, I got this going on. I got that going on. You're always going to have something going on. Sometimes it's worse than others. And when it's worse than others, that's when you need community. Not when everything's hunky-dory. Oh, I'm going to get to it when everything's hunky-dory. I'm like, no, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. Because things aren't going to necessarily stay hunky-dory unless you're challenging yourself, unless you're really working on yourself, and unless you're putting yourself to task. And if you really have this dream inside your heart and soul that you want to get out into the world, then you need to be in a community of like-minded people who support you, celebrate you, tell you the truth, acknowledge you, comfort you, and expand you, push you, in a good way. It's not in a way of like, you need to be doing, it's more like, wow, I see you're really great at channeling. This is what you need to be doing, or this is what I feel you need to be doing. So that is what I wanted to share with you. I know I kind of threw in a bunch of stories at once, and I really probably need to come to these podcasts a little more organized with what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say. It's usually like a brain dump on here with you guys, but it's usually what's going on in my own life that I'm like, I come on here so fired up to share my stories, because if I can save you the heartache of the experiences I've had, I'm doing my job. And not only that, so I'm a little bit, you can tell I'm strong, I'm tougher, right? And some of you aren't. You haven't been out there enough. And somebody saying something would really hurt your feelings. I want to save you from that. Like, I want to give you the tools and the techniques for you to be like, all right, I don't care. I'm going to go on anyway and be my badass self. That's not usually a word I use. But there you have it. So that's why I'm giving you all of this. So if you're interested in Next Level Living, I would suggest really checking it out. Go to marilynaloria.com/next and watch the video on the page. It really does explain the program. And if you have any questions at all, you can email us at care@marilynaloria.com. That'll come to me, or info@marilynaloria.com. So if you write me and tell me about yourself and what you're trying to do in your life, then I'd love to respond to that. I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you succeed. Okay. So you're going to hear a little music. You're going to go into the tip, and then you are going to hear the tip and get a taste of what Next Level Living is. And again, if you're interested, go to marilynaloria.com/next, watch the overview, and book a call. And we can tell you all about it. Matter of fact, I don't hard sell. I just put a post on my Facebook page about people that friend you, and they pretend like they really want to know you, and meanwhile they're pitching you. And I wrote a whole post about it because I can't stand the dishonesty in it all. And somebody wrote on there on my business page how she said, I wanted to buy something of yours a while ago, and you wouldn't let me buy it because you said I wasn't ready for it yet. I didn't have my business in order yet. And I was like, so thank you so much. So if you think that I'm going to try to hard sell you on a sales call, you're wrong. I need to make sure that it's right for you and it's right for us. So go check it out, marilynaloria.com/next. Okay, I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching this. Remember, you can hear a little music. Oh, and rate, review, subscribe, and share a like. And at the end of the tip, you won't hear my tagline, so I'll give it to you now because I love it. Who can it be now? It's you. It's always you. Okay, here's some music and go into it. Hi, everyone. This is tip number 2, deep listening with your heart and soul for business. So I think this is an extremely important topic for you to consider as you're entrepreneurs and running your business. Deep listening with your heart and soul should be used in every aspect of your business. And I'm going to tell you when to use it and also when to notice that you're not using it and then get into it. So I tried to do this recording twice already. We'll see if the squeaky monster starts up again, which is, there he goes. There he goes. So anyway, deep listening with your heart and soul is, I think it's the only way you can run your business. One of the questions you have to constantly ask yourself is, what is it I want to do? What is it I want to do? When you're creating a product, when you're creating an opt-in, we're constantly coming from the outside in because we're thinking about the client, which is important. We're thinking about what is doing well in the business world right now in that particular genre. We may be looking at different things, but I also think when you come from your real authenticity, your truth, your alignment, and you put something out and you really want to put that thing out, there's probably a better place to do it from. So I think there's a combination of things. When I first started my business, I didn't listen to anything but my heart and soul, and my business flowed effortlessly and easily. And things just took off and opportunities came my way. And I just said yes without even thinking about them because I just allowed my heart and soul to completely bring me towards them. It wasn't until people started giving me advice, unsolicited advice, some of it, that I started getting confused about what I was meant to do and what I should be doing. And that's when things started getting tricky for me. And I look back at it now and leave you this message, like as I'm recording this video for you, and I realize, wow, I was so in tune and so aligned and just didn't even know it though. And everything was just smoothly going. And of course I did marketing things because they just intuited those marketing things. I was like, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to do this now. And I just kind of intuited the whole thing. And my business was incredibly successful. Now with all the coaching I've had and the different things I've done, I could see where I've gotten out of my own deep listening with my heart and soul. And I would watch what other people were doing and be like, I want that, I want this, I want that. And then I would try to do things or replicate things that weren't necessarily my truth. So I feel like product wise, I've always put out product that has definitely been my heart and soul, except one product, only one product. And that product came on the tail ends of after I did my first few telesummits and was super successful. I created a top product that I thought the audience wanted, not what I wanted to do, what I thought the audience wanted. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about money. And the product failed. The product kind of fell flat. Everybody bought it because they loved my other product. And I got some feedback from students that were studying with me for quite some time. Sue Kovacs was one of them. And she was like, the product wasn't that good. they didn't really like it. And I feel like the reason was, and I put a lot into it actually, it was the first product I actually recorded quietly, without an audience, which I do much better with a live audience recording. SFA, I recorded without an audience, and that I think is an incredible product and great product. But that was done so different with a lot of years of experience. So the point I'm making is that every product I put out is a product that I want to put out. It's a product that I feel called to put out. And the thing that happens with that, and sometimes I put out live classes that were based on not really what I wanted to do, was based on somebody's need that's expressed it to me, or was based on another need. If you're doing something from need, you have to be careful because that's coming from scarcity, lack, fear. It's a tighter, smaller thing. This is the thing I'm reading in The Gap and the Gain, a lot about need and want, and also read in 10X is greater than 2X. I always want to give credibility to where I learn things, especially when I feel like that's an initiating thought for me, want and need, because I never looked as want as something. My guides would always say, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? But I never realized want can be abundance. I thought want was like, if I want it, that's not good. But want is an abundance feeling. Need is a scarcity, lack feeling. And they're right, because I've noticed when I get into want, what do I want to do? How do I want to be in this world? What kind of person do I want to be? Remember, deep listening, heart and soul. People can't answer that for you. They can try, they can reflect back to you. When I do coaching, I was coaching someone yesterday and I realized like I was reflecting back something I was hearing, but I really hope that when I coach, it's an open-ended question, because it's not me to answer that question. It's up to the person to answer that question. So let me track back. So you want to put out product that you really want to put out. So if you have an opt-in that you've been told that would do really well, there might be the structure of it, an assessment, a 7-day challenge, a recording. Those are good things to listen to, right? The makeup of the product. And then you want to kind of get an idea of your client. What is my client struggling with, right? What can I help my client with this opt-in? And anytime you put an opt-in out or an offer out, you're supposed to, like a webinar, you're supposed to answer a question, but you're supposed to answer the question they have coming in with the webinar. Let's take a webinar, it could be an opt-in, but then create another question. That creates the sales cycle, right? I don't do that very well because it's not my nature to do that. My nature is to satiate, which you want to be careful about. So I don't want to get off topic. So you want to create something that you want, but you also want to make sure that you are excited and you have an audience that you're interested in working with. Let's put it that way, right? So I definitely listen to my audience. I've listened to them since doing readings. That's where my product came from, because so many people would come to me and be like, how could I talk to my guides? How could I talk to my guides? So when your one-on-ones are coming to you, how can I do this? How can I do this? How can I do this? Dashka just said that, right? She was like, people want to learn how I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, that's a certification course. That's not something you give away. It could be a mentorship that you do one-on-one. That's what I started out with Sue and Sherry. I mentored them first before I started getting into these bigger group programs. But let's get back to the deep listening, right? So I'm listening to them, but I'm listening mainly to my heart and soul. Because if somebody was asking me to teach something I wasn't interested in teaching, I wouldn't do it. So in my business, when I start doing something that no longer speaks to my heart and soul, I stop doing it. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say do it the way I do it. I would say just constantly be listening to your heart and soul. So anything you do, hiring a coach, buying a class, creating a product, you want to be deep listening to your heart and soul. And sometimes, like I just bought another product and I was like, do I really want this? I'm buying a lot of products from this one woman. I'm like, do I really want to buy this product? And I was on the phone with Jess at Zoom and I was like, do we really need this product right now? And she's like, I think it would be a good product for us. And I was like, okay, because what was coming up was I always buy product. I don't always watch the product. I do watch a lot of the product I buy, but I don't watch all of it. So I wanted to make sure it was something that I'm going to watch. And after I bought it, I was excited by it. I can't wait to get to it because I really want to do it. I'm creating something else in my business. So it's something I'm really working towards. So you want to deep listen there. You want to deep listen everywhere. If you're unhappy, if you're feeling disgruntled, if you're feeling funky, you want to deep listen there too, because sometimes we'll say when I was ending membership, right? That was going on for about a year where I was thinking about ending it. And it wasn't the clientele. I loved the group. It was, I didn't want to go out and sell it. I didn't want to go out and sell it. I didn't have it in me to do another launch. And to get numbers that you usually get at my level, right? It's not like I have Brene Brown's audience, right? At my levels, to get the numbers that I needed to get, I want you to know, don't eat that. I'm going to have to go in a second. The numbers that I need to get in a membership program. Hold on a second. I'm back. The numbers that you need to get in a membership program, you need to do big launches, right? You need to have the audience. So I didn't see any other way. I tried Evergreen. I tried all these different things, and I wasn't interested anymore in figuring out the sales process to it. So you have to listen to that stuff too. Is it failure? Is it because people are leaving? Or is it because you're really not into it any longer? And for me, I really wasn't into it any longer. I was ready to let it go. SFA I'm going to bring back in, but I remember the last group, I think I was like, I can't serve this client anymore. I just can't do it. Now, the reason why I'm going to bring it back in is I think it's an incredible stepping stone to Next Level Living. I think it's an amazing course. I always got incredible feedback on that course, but I'm not going to do the live components that I did with it. That's Next Level Living for me. Next Level Living speaks to me. Getting on a call with all of you guys, I'm excited. I'm very excited. So you want to listen to that. And then you want to listen to, well, what's the next best thing? What do I need to do? What is my soul telling me? What is the universe trying to show me right now? A lot of times, like, I've been asking for a particular thing, but I wasn't listening. And then I started listening, and the universe started putting inside my viewpoint exactly what I needed to be doing, which is a lot of what I'm diving into now, behind NLL. So meaning I'm focused on NLL, and then there's other things I'm focused on as well. So deep listening with your heart and soul. What is it you want to offer? Who do you want to serve? Be honest about that with yourself. Not who can I serve? Who do I want to serve? Even if that client feels far, far away, maybe that you want to serve like major leaders and billionaires, and you're nowhere near their, you're not in their vicinity, doesn't matter. They should still be in your viewpoint, because you may be serving. So then you may take it back and say, okay, but this person's closer to me and they're like similar to that client. That's who I want to serve. Like, I've talked to some of you don't want to serve victims. Like, the healers in the room are like, I can't serve anyone unless they're willing to be healed. It's very clear. So that's deep listening with your heart and soul. So when the client comes to you and go, oh, but can you please help me? It's like, no, I can't. And I'm not going to apologize for it. Many times what I would do back then is suggest someone else that I really liked, that I felt could help them. So you can do that. And that if you feel bad, if you feel like you have to help the person. So do your deep listening with your heart and soul in every aspect, mainly too, and this probably should have been in the beginning, it's also with your brand. You're going out with a unique brand. You're going out with your brand. You're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurial life is not easy, yet it is easy. So how is it easy? It does give you freedom. You get to dictate your life. It's not easy because it's up and down. So, and I was leaving you another recording about successful people. So successful people, they don't look at failure as failure ever. They don't. So you got to go into deep listening, heart and soul. And I'll go back to the point in a second. There's a reason why I'm saying this. So the Steve Jobs of the world and Elon Musk and the guy who did Virgin, he's escaping my name head right now. You know who I'm talking about. Richard Branson, they just do it. And they know that what people term as failure is part of the business. It doesn't mean you're a loser. It doesn't mean that what you offer is not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're not creative enough. What it means is there's a belief that is showing up that spirit is asking you to work with. That's the deep listening with your heart and soul. Oh, this person said no to me. wow, that made me feel rejected, just like the time my father rejected me. And second, whatever the story is, right? Deep listening with your heart and soul. But I'm not that person anymore. I am who I am. I can help people. I want to help people. The desire alone is enough to know that you're gifted with something, in my opinion. So these people never look at it that way. They look at it as information. So when you're going out with your unique brand, you can't really follow anybody out there because nobody's doing what you're exactly doing. They may be doing some iteration of it, some idea of it, but still they're not doing what you're doing. So you have to do it in your way, and you have to deeply listen to yourself as to why you're doing it and how you feel about it. I feel like, I was looking at somebody who's teaching about guides now, and I'm like, I've been teaching this stuff like 18, 19 years before it was out there. And I hadn't heard a lot of people teach what I was teaching. I really haven't. Now, I don't study every single person, but so I don't know if it was out there the same time I was, but I know who was out there when I was out there. I knew who the famous people were. I didn't study really with a lot of them or read their books. But when I did pick up a book or I did hear something, I didn't hear people teaching the way I was learning from my guides. That's okay. Great. Not saying they're bad. I'm better. Not saying any of that. I'm just saying I was very clear about that and my unique ability. Now I see a lot of this information out there, like it's getting out in the masses. And I see somebody having a huge amount of success with stuff that I've been teaching for 18 years. Good for her. Good for her. I was watching the reel and I was like, wow, she's like in the hundreds of thousands of views. She's talking about exactly what I've been talking about for years. So I could sit here and go, why didn't that happen for me? Which was for a second, I was like, why didn't that happen for me? It wasn't meant to. It wasn't meant to. It might be later on, but it's not my platform anymore. So deep listening with my heart and soul further on, like I said, I'm happy for the woman. I really have no jealousy. I don't care. Good for her. I don't even know. Maybe she studied some of my product. I don't know. Maybe not. It's mass consciousness. It's out there. So the thing is to deep listen with your heart and soul is to know that something like that isn't a reflection of anything. It's an acceleration. So for me, when I got into that moment, I was like, okay. And I was like, should I go back to that? Because I have product for all of that. And of course, I'm going to sell some of that product because I'm starting to pick up that product again. But no, she needs to be her and I'm me. And I'm doing something different. I'm on a different trajectory. And what I'm doing, I love, because if I tried to step back into that pool of people, when I look at the comments and everything, or I feel into the energy, and like I said, this woman seems wonderful, like good for her. I'm like, oh, goodness, no. No. Deep listening with your heart and soul. If I wasn't deep listening with my heart and soul, I would right away go, oh, wow, I have that product. Let me jump out there again and just focus on that. No. So I feel when you're selling your own unique quality, you're selling your product, you're going about it, you have to learn things. You have to. You have to look at marketing that formulas, I would say. And then you apply it to your deep listening heart and soul, and then discover your truth, and then put that out into the world. I've been thinking about another book, right? I've been thinking about another book for quite some time. And I have this agent I spoke to years ago who was very interested in the first book, which was going to be the 28-day challenge, constant communication with your guides. It was going to be based on that. And when I looked at, like, I knew the process already to like get published, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I just didn't have it in me. And then, the publisher came to me with that book idea, and I did it. So, which was great. I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And now I've been thinking about another book, and the friend's with the same agent. And she's like, I really want you to get published and do it this way. It was really great experience. And I've been thinking about it. I'm like, I was like, yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should open up to that. And then after like Tony's conversation, look at the bonus with Tony's call yesterday, which was about how to get reviews, how to continue momentum when you publish a book. I was like, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it myself. Deep listening with your heart and soul. Now, that's not to say when the book idea fully forms that I may talk to that agent anyway, because I may decide, you know what, I do want to go the publishing route. Or I may go and have that conversation with him, do some deep listening of my heart and soul, and be like, no, I don't, or yes, I do. So the whole process is always coming home to yourself, always coming home to alignment, always coming home to your truth. What is your truth? What is it you want? Who do you want to serve? And sometimes I'm going to say this because I'm shifting. It's not always the easiest path, but I feel it is, because what I noticed happens is when you don't go the straight road that you know in your heart and soul you're meant to go, you can create chaos in your experience. So if we'll take the other example, say I'm like, well, I can teach guys the back of my, that's the easiest thing for me. I mean, it is, I consider myself an expert in that field completely. And it's not that I don't teach about guides. Matter of fact, the new guidance system is really what I'm going to be teaching about, because they're blowing the roof off my door. They're blowing the doors off my house, like what they're coming in with information, right? But say I said, okay, I'm going to go back because that's an easier path. But is it the path you want to do? No, it's for other people now. It's for other people. And I feel like Spirit has always known that for me, which is why I wasn't doing reels, back then. I don't have the $300,000 views on the reels. Timing, she was the right, and I'm not saying she's the only one, it doesn't matter. Deep listening with your heart and soul. To me, every trajectory in my business, one of the promises I made myself when I left television production was I would never be miserable again in a job. I made that promise to myself. And then when I went into acting and I was the lead in that show, and I think it was like 2 years or something, I started becoming miserable. So I left, and people were shocked I left. And then I was waitressing and stuff as I was doing some movies and things like that. And I moved to California and I was bookkeeping and pursuing acting. And then this whole world just blew up, and I had to figure out how to work with it. All of that had to happen. And then I moved into this career, and I came home to my soul in this career. And there have definitely been moments, in all of those moments, where I wasn't deeply listening to my heart and soul. And what you get the opportunity to do now is to reflect and deeply listen to your heart and soul so that you can learn from it and move forward. So as I sit here right now, just even having this conversation with you in real time with myself, they're just reminding me of this conversation. They hold up a mirror of how, I hope I'm making sense to you guys. And you're going to have to tell me after you listen to this tip, how important it is to say, like, I'm going forward in something. I'm not revealing what I'm going forward in. Okay. And I'm just not ready to. So I'm deeply listening with my heart and soul. Think something right now that you want to go forward in. I'll do this in real time with you, and deeply listen to your heart and soul. Is this the thing you want to do? So I have an emphatic yes with tears behind them. Okay. So if that's an emphatic yes, is there anything in your life right now, in your business, that you're distracting yourself with? Deeply listen with your heart and soul. Yes and no. Yes and no. So some of the yes and no is I'm doing what I want to be doing, everything. The no part, so it was no, I'm doing everything I need to be doing. The part where I'm distracting myself is how I'm putting out the sales system to Next Level Living. That's what it is. So I'm doing something I think I'm supposed to do, isn't working really. It works partially. And Spirit just brought me to the attention of what it is that I really want to do, and I have to trust it. So now if you got an answer like you're not distracting yourself, or you are distracting yourself, or whatever it is, go in and see if there's a memory attached to that experience, like to that distraction or whatever. If there's deeper information, see if there's a memory around there that is dictating a belief that is working against you. you're going to go in, you're going to see if there's a memory attached to that, to this questions and everything we're doing right now, that is dictating an experience that's attached to a belief that is working against you, that is attached to a belief that's working against you. Just go into a memory that's attached to a belief that's working against you right now. Yes. What is the belief? What is the truth of that belief? Rewrite the belief with your heart and soul. Okay. Did you get something? So try that process with everything you're doing. Try to just pause, take a moment, and go into a deeper listening with your heart and soul. And see it. And what's interesting is the answer I got, which I'm not revealing, right? And I'm sorry for that, but I'm not ready to. There's still a little doubt there because I'm so used to doing like this, doing like A, B, C, and D. Everybody told me do it A, B, C, and D. I got to do it like A, B, and C, and D. And then Spirit's like, no, you really want to do E, F, G, and H. May take a little longer, but you want to do E, F, G, and H. And I'm like, no, I got to do A, B, C, and D. You can see how it could create friction on the path and the opportunities. So play with this, but the main thing I want you to do, so the summary of this is anytime you're approaching anything in your life, really, go into deep listening with your heart and soul. And you should be able to do it within a second. You shouldn't have to go into deep meditation. Now, I've been meditating pretty much every day this week. It's Thursday. And I've been getting deep, and they've been deep meditations this week. They aren't always like that. And they've been very deep and revealing and life-changing, right? So I'm in kind of a life-changing experience right now. So I'm probably going deep really, really fast. I go deep pretty fast. I bet a lot of you do too. If you don't worry about it. Practice makes it that you go into it. It's really about trusting the information. It's about using your imagination and trusting it. But go in. When you feel a wiggle, a uncomfortableness, a fear, go into the deep listening of your heart and soul. Ask those questions. What's the truth of this right now? Where am I aligned? Where am I misaligned? Where am I distracting myself? Where am I exciting myself? What's a belief that's attached to us? What's a memory that's attached to this that has a belief that's working against me? I'm going to say that again because I think it's very good. What's the memory that's attached to this that has a belief to it that's working against me? And then work with that belief. It's not true. If it's working against you, it's not a true belief. And then rewrite the belief. Okay. All right, guys, let me know. I hope this made sense. I think it did. I think you may have to go through the whole tip. I'm saying this at the end, so hopefully you made it to the end in order to understand the entire tip. But I think that's the way I've been working lately. I've noticed this even on my podcast. It's like I go through, and then I get to the summary. And I probably should start taking the summaries now and putting them in the beginning so that people know. But that's for now. This is for now. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.